I'm Summer Morris CPA, ex-corporate accounting girl and health coach turned CEO of a multi-six-figure business while helping others build financial security and a better quality of life. It wasn't that long ago I lacked the confidence, the right plan, and time to focus on growing my small but mighty business. Fast forward past many failures and lessons learned, and you'll see the healthier business and lifestyle I have today. One that changes lives while giving me more freedom than I ever thought possible. I created the Mindful Mavericks podcast to share simple, actionable, step-by-step strategies to help you do the same. So if you're an entrepreneur or aspiring to start your first side hustle, this show can help you make an impact and cash flow without creating the overwhelm and burnout that makes you want to quit. You ready? Let's get started. Hey Mavericks, welcome to another episode of the Mindful Mavericks podcast. Thank you for sharing your time and listening in. Today we're diving into a topic that I help both my health coaching clients and money coaching clients better understand so they can break the unhealthy patterns that keep them from feeling better and living the life they want. But before I do, it's important to remember the information I'm sharing in this podcast is intended for educational purposes only. It's not meant to serve as your personal mental health or financial advice. If you'd like to work with me one-to-one, I do offer coaching via phone or Zoom. Just contact me at summermorris.com to schedule a time to start the conversation. Otherwise, you're encouraged to seek the guidance of your qualified medical professional for personalized recommendations specific to your unique circumstances. You might even want to share this episode with them. Understanding this topic is a valuable tool regardless of the goal or desired outcome you're trying to achieve. It's especially helpful when you feel like you're in the clear and done with whatever obstacle or challenge you may have been trying to overcome, because sometimes it tries to come back and get you when you least expect it. What am I talking about? I'm talking about self-sabotage, and more importantly, how to overcome it. If you're unfamiliar with self-sabotage, you are not alone. I did not fully grasp this topic myself until I was in my health and life coach training. Self-sabotage is defined as the act or habit of behaving in a way that interferes directly with one's own goals, well-being, relationship, etc. Some examples of self-sabotage behaviors are comfort eating, overspending, procrastination, self-doubt, negative self-talk, and lashing out at others. As a bonus, to help you avoid taking a lot of notes, because I have a lot of words, I created a free Overcoming Self-Sabotage resource. It goes hand in hand with this episode. You can download it at summermorris.com/4. That's summermorris.com/ and the number 4. So if you're driving, out on a walk, or shampooing your cat, just know the resource is there to guide you when you're ready. Now that you know what self-sabotage is, according to the dictionary, my plan for the rest of this episode is to lay out a greater introduction to understanding what self-sabotage is, help you identify some common triggers and patterns, discuss how challenging your negative beliefs can override self-sabotage behaviors, and how setting realistic goals and building self-compassion are your pathway to feeling better. And I'll explain more after this brief commercial break. Are you an entrepreneur working nonstop in survival mode, trying to figure out how to increase sales and make more money? Is your unpredictable cash flow stressing you out? Do you avoid looking at your bills or bank balances because you feel overwhelmed by your money situation? Are you unsure how much to pay yourself, so you avoid doing it altogether and instead use your business bank accounts for personal purchases? Well, imagine instead if you can look at your bank account balance with greater confidence. Pay yourself regularly every single month. What if you had a system in place, an easy system, for every dollar that came in? Some for you, some for expenses, and some set aside for the tax bill. Imagine if paying taxes was more of an inconvenience than a where am I going to find the money panic. And what if you had a proven method for eliminating debt? You can learn the simple steps to building your profit and cash flow roadmap in my group coaching program. It's called Steady Profits and Consistent Cash Flow. It's a one-day live interactive workshop in Zoom with 2 separate 2-hour sessions for a total of 4 hours. It's recorded for later viewing, so if you're not able to attend live or just want to rewatch it, I like to say it's better than Netflix. The next one's March 28th at 10 a.m. Pacific Time. You can learn more at summermorris.com/profits. That's summermorris.com/PROFITS. I'll see you inside. Welcome back. Let's talk more about understanding self-sabotage. Self-sabotage behaviors hold us back from achieving our goals and potential. They could be due to fear of failure, low self-esteem, or negative beliefs. As I mentioned a moment ago, some examples of self-sabotage behaviors are procrastination, self-doubt, and negative self-talk. Here's an example straight from my love life. Over a decade ago, after a long-term relationship ended for the right reasons, I decided to try online dating. After a few phone conversations, I opted to go on a first date with someone who appeared perfect on paper, to me anyway. He was tall, handsome, well-spoken, his parents were happily married, and he had a successful career with a sought-after employer. We lived about 60 miles apart and agreed to meet at a lovely restaurant between our 2 cities. Back then, I didn't make much money and most of my clothes were bland corporate work clothes. So I pulled one of the few elegant dresses I had out for this date. When I saw him in person, wow, better than paper. Our conversation and energy that night seemed to flow effortlessly, like we'd known each other for a long time. As the dinner was ending, we headed out to the front of the restaurant to enjoy the warm breeze. When we walked out toward the cars, he asked me which car was mine. I pointed to the little economy car. He said, "You parked right next to me." His car, a top-of-the-line luxury car that I could only have afforded a poster of. Without him doing anything wrong, I immediately felt broke and out of place. He called a few times after that first date to see if we could meet again. He enjoyed our time together and our prior phone calls and wanted to get to know me better. I told him I didn't think it would work out given the miles between us. I told him I was sorry, but I should focus my weekends on studying for the CPA accounting exams, and the commute to see him would make studying way too hard. I was chickening out. He even told me he would do the driving. He said given his vice president status, he could telecommute some days each week and work directly from my city. He said he didn't mind staying in a hotel nearby if a date went long as a way of not pressing to stay with me. But I said no. And it wasn't him at all. The feelings of low self-worth that others had pushed me to feel in earlier times in my life had surfaced. It was the voices of others from my past who would have said, "You're not good enough for him. It won't last. You can't even afford to dress nice to go on dates with him." That negative self-talk was my self-sabotage. I did not allow myself to experience what could have been a lovely relationship because the self-sabotage loop was in full force. Fortunately, after learning about self-sabotage and how to overcome it, I later went to that same online dating site again. I discovered another person who also appeared perfect on paper. When I met him on our first date, wow in HD. I would have definitely run away from this man if those old negative self-talk behaviors were in control. Thankfully, after learning how to identify the triggers, patterns, and other stuff I'll share with you in a moment, I was able to override those bad thoughts and not chicken out again. It's been a couple years with that man from the online dating site, whom I'm so proud to call my boyfriend. He's been one of my biggest growth opportunities, supports my efforts, and shows me unconditional love. I wouldn't be experiencing this loving relationship if I had stayed in the self-sabotage loop and given up early again. Some examples of other self-sabotage behaviors include procrastination, perfectionism, avoidance, self-medication, overcommitting, seeking validation from others, and sabotaging relationships. Let's dive in a little bit more. Procrastination, delaying tasks or responsibilities until last minute, leading to missed deadlines or poor performance. Perfectionism, setting unrealistic standards on oneself and feeling inadequate and unable to meet those standards. Avoidance, ignoring or avoiding difficult situations or decisions, which can prevent personal growth or progress. Self-medication, using substances like alcohol, drugs, or food to cope with emotions or stress, which can lead to addiction or health issues. Overcommitting, taking on too many responsibilities or tasks, leading to burnout and decreased effectiveness. If you've ever had that one like me, raise your hand. Yep, overcommitting. All right, next one. Seeking validation from others, relying on external approval or validation to feel worthy or successful rather than developing self-esteem from within. Sabotaging relationships by engaging in behaviors like jealousy and dishonesty that just push others away. These behaviors can hinder personal growth, success, and well-being. Recognizing and addressing self-sabotage is important for achieving goals and improving overall mental and emotional health. Are you ready to end your self-sabotage? Let's switch gears and chat about triggers and patterns. A trigger is anything like a cue or an event that sparks a reaction or series of reactions. Various triggers can lead to self-sabotaging behaviors, including stress and overwhelm. When you feel overwhelmed or stressed, you may resort to self-sabotage behaviors to escape or numb those feelings, especially if how you've coped has helped you avoid those uncomfortable feelings in the past. Negative beliefs. If you have negative beliefs about yourself, such as not feeling worthy of success or happiness, you may engage in self-sabotaging behaviors to fulfill those beliefs. Fear of failure. The fear of failing or not meeting expectations can lead you to sabotage your efforts even before trying. Perfectionism. Setting unrealistic standards for yourself can lead to self-sabotage when you feel you just can't meet those standards. Low self-esteem. If you have low self-esteem, you may engage in self-sabotaging behaviors to validate your negative beliefs about yourself. Past traumas. Previous negative experiences or traumas can create patterns of behavior that lead to self-sabotage as a way to cope with those emotions. And last, lack of self-awareness. Not being aware of your triggers, emotions, or thought patterns can lead to unknowingly engaging in behaviors that sabotage your goals. These are covered in the bonus handout I created for you that goes hand in hand with this episode. You can download it at summermorse.com/4. Once again, summermorse.com/ and the number 4. When I think of triggers and the cycle of self-sabotage, I think of the habit loop. In the habit loop, there's a cue, a routine, and a reward. And once you learn this, you can use this in any area of your life. Once again, the habit loop has a cue, a routine, and a reward. The habit loop is a concept introduced by Charles Duhigg in his book, The Power of Habit. An excellent book, by the way. It consists of those 3 parts: cue, routine, reward. The cue is a trigger that tells your brain to go into automatic mode and decide which habit to use. The routine is the behavior or action that follows the cue, which can be physical, mental, or emotional. The reward is what you get from the habit, whether it's physical pleasure, emotional satisfaction, or a sense of accomplishment. Over time, the habit loop becomes more and more automatic as the brain learns to associate the cue with the routine and the reward. For example, one lady I was coaching on overcoming her over-drinking habit was in a habit loop of drinking wine in the evening. Before she started working with me, she would try to stop on her own, quit for a couple days, but then find herself right back in the bottle. During our coaching together, she learned her cue was coming home from work. Her routine was pour the first glass of wine. Her reward was that gentle buzz that distracted her from the stresses of the day. Her first glass, though, would usually become a second and sometimes a third. Her goal was to shed the stress of the day after coming home from work while also giving up the wine habit. In our coaching together, I helped her discover that the cue would still be there, coming home from work, and the reward would still be desired, to feel less stressed from work. but the routine could change. It was in her full control. After some coaching sessions, we modified her routine so that she would come home from work, the cue, change into some fitness clothes and either head to the gym for a group exercise class, walk on the treadmill with an audiobook, or work out at home, her new routine. And the reward of feeling better and less stress happened without the wine. Once you can identify the unique triggers and patterns that lead you to self-sabotage, you can change your routine and the related outcome. Now we're going to take a brief commercial break. When we return, we'll discuss challenging those negative beliefs, setting realistic goals, and building self-compassion. Are you an entrepreneur working nonstop in survival mode, trying to figure out how to increase sales and make more money? Is your unpredictable cash flow stressing you out? Do you avoid looking at your bills or bank balances because you feel overwhelmed by your money situation? Are you unsure how much to pay yourself, so you avoid doing it altogether and instead use your business bank accounts for personal purchases? Well, imagine instead if you can look at your bank account balance with greater confidence. Pay yourself regularly every single month. What if you had a system in place, an easy system, for every dollar that came in? Some for you, some for expenses, and some set aside for the tax bill. Imagine if paying taxes was more of an inconvenience than a where am I going to find the money panic. And what if you had a proven method for eliminating debt? You can learn the simple steps to building your profit and cash flow roadmap in my group coaching program. It's called Steady Profits and Consistent Cash Flow. It's a one-day live interactive workshop in Zoom with 2 separate 2-hour sessions for a total of 4 hours. It's recorded for later viewing, so if you're not able to attend live or just want to rewatch it, I like to say it's better than Netflix. The next one's March 28th at 10 a.m. Pacific Time. You can learn more at summermorris.com/profits. That's summermorris.com/PROFITS. I'll see you inside. Welcome back. Let's talk about 5 negative self-beliefs that can fuel self-sabotage behaviors in several ways. First one, self-fulfilling prophecy. When you believe you're unworthy, incapable, or destined to fail, you're more likely to act in ways that align with these beliefs. This can manifest as procrastination, avoidance of challenges, or deliberately sabotaging your efforts. 2, low self-esteem. Negative self-beliefs can erode your self-esteem and sense of self-worth, leading you to engage in behaviors that undermine your success or well-being. For example, you may engage in self-sabotaging behaviors as a form of self-punishment or to confirm your negative beliefs about yourself. 3, fear of failure or success. Negative self-beliefs can create a fear of failure or success, leading you to sabotage your efforts to avoid facing these fears subconsciously. For instance, you might sabotage a new opportunity because deep down you believe you don't deserve it or are afraid of what success might entail. This immediately makes me think of those that you hear about that win the lottery and win a ton of money, or a celebrity that makes a lot of money, and before they know it, they're broke again. It could be that fear of success, that if they're so used to having little money, the money comes in, there can be uncomfortable feelings, maybe a bit of panic, even though it's good. The money is good, right? But if it's uncomfortable, it's unfamiliar, there's an opportunity for us to self-sabotage. And then what happens? We overspend, we get back to baseline, so we're back to being broke. It's not exactly where we want to be, but it's what's comfortable. 4, lack of confidence. Negative self-beliefs can contribute to feelings of inadequacy and lack of confidence, making it harder for you to take risks or pursue your goals. This can result in self-sabotage behaviors such as self-doubt, second-guessing yourself, giving up prematurely, kind of like I did with the dating example I gave earlier. 5, coping mechanism. Self-sabotage can serve as a coping mechanism for dealing with uncomfortable emotions or situations. Negative self-belief can make you more vulnerable to engaging in behaviors like binge eating, excessive drinking, or other self-destructive habits as a way to escape or numb your feelings. By challenging and reframing your negative self-beliefs, you can reduce the likelihood of self-sabotage and cultivate a more positive and empowered mindset. Do you ever find yourself setting goals and quitting early? Creating realistic goals and breaking them down into smaller, more manageable tasks is crucial to reducing self-sabotage's effect on them. In episode 1 of the Mindful Mavericks podcast, I shared how to reduce overwhelm with clear, measurable goals. And in episode 3, titled 7 Tips to Achieve Your Goals for Good, I share how you can make your desired outcome inevitable. Check them out if you haven't already. All right, the last thing I want to discuss with you today is how self-compassion can be a powerful tool in helping us bounce back from setbacks and failures. Here's how it can help. 1. Reduces self-criticism. Self-compassion involves treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a friend. By being less critical and more understanding of your mistakes, you can reduce feelings of shame and inadequacy that often lead to setbacks. 2. Increases resilience. When faced with failure, self-compassion helps you to see setbacks as a natural part of life rather than a reflection of your self-worth. This perspective can help you bounce back more quickly and become more resilient despite challenges. 3. Boost motivation. Self-compassion encourages a growth mindset where failures are seen as opportunities for learning and growth rather than a sign of incompetence. This can motivate you to try again and improve rather than getting stuck in self-defeating thoughts. I like to believe there are wins and there are lessons, no failures, just wins and lessons. 4. Enhances emotional well-being. Self-compassion can help regulate difficult emotions that arise from setbacks, such as disappointment or frustration. By acknowledging your feelings with kindness and understanding, you can process them in a healthier way and prevent them from overwhelming you. Practicing self-compassion can provide the emotional support and perspective that's needed to navigate setbacks and failures with greater resilience and kindness towards oneself. So there you have it, Mavericks. As I wrap up today's episode, remember overcoming self-sabotage is a gradual process. It requires you to identify your unique triggers and patterns, challenge the negative self-beliefs that pop up in your head, set realistic goals, and practice self-compassion. By implementing these strategies and seeking support when needed, you can break free from self-limiting behaviors and live a more fulfilling and empowered life. Thank you for tuning in. And remember, you have the power to rewrite your story and thrive. If you'd like my help overcoming your self-sabotage behaviors, you can find my coaching services at summermorris.com. Much love and peace to you. Namaste.